Most books talking about money is all about spreadsheets. This one is different. This one is all about people, and maybe that is why it works. Hello everyone, welcome to Harry's Book Cafe. Today let's talk about Morgan Housel's Psychology of Money. Before I start the review, I would like to let you know what this book isn't about. Now, if you are here because you want to learn step-by-step financial techniques, then this isn't the book for you. However, if you do want to find out a little bit more about money, especially the relationship that we have with our money and how to, over time, hopefully having more money in our pocket, then this is definitely one that you should stick around with. I have read quite a few self-help and also financial books. This one, however, is very different. This really starts with us rather than money, investment decisions and spreadsheet. This is all about the psychology of money, as the title rightly suggests. It's also a very readable book because it actually breaks down into 20 different topics. Each topic is a chapter, and each of those chapters are relatively short, so you can always keep your attention going for this particular book. Now, I have learned quite a lot from reading this book, and I would like to use this review to really talk about the 5 that really stayed with me. Before I do that, however, I would like to talk about the introduction. The introduction really showcases 2 very different people. The first one is owner of internet startup, very successful one. So successful, in fact, that he started to, really wasting money. The quick example given in the introduction was that he buys $1,000 worth of gold coin, which is about that big, thin. He buys loads of them, a whole bag of them. And what he does is he will invite his friends, find a lake with a body of water, and just do the skippings with the gold coin and see who skips the longest. And I think this behavior really corresponds with our very ideas of how a millionaire should behave. Like that, champagnes for everyone, that's are influenced by Hollywood of what a millionaire really is, right? However, because his profligacy, he lost his money very quickly, and he ended up bankrupt. And then another person in the introduction, which is pretty much a polar opposite. Let me just read the Wikipedia entrance for this particular person. Roland James Redd was an American philanthropist, investor, janitor, and gas station attendants. So Mr. Redd, who is all of the above, when he passed away a few years back, his net worth is over $8 million. Now, from the Wikipedia page, you know that he is actually a janitor as well as a gas station attendant. Now, the reason for his wealth is because of lifelong accumulation, through saving as well as investment. So I think this introduction is just absolutely phenomenal. It really sort of set the tone of what the book is really about. Now, without further ado, let's dig into the first case, and that is No One is Crazy. That title of the chapter is rather intriguing. It talks about of our different generations, our different experience, our different socio-economic positions in life, our financial decisions and saving decisions, general overall money decisions are incredibly different. Someone might do something that you find incredibly crazy or irrational. However, the person is making that decision has absolutely no qualm that what he's doing or what she's doing is absolutely correct for that time. And the author actually gives it a quick example, and that is massive majority of the lottery tickets being purchased in the US are by the bottom socio-economical group. They spend $400 a year on lottery tickets. Now, to you and me, that might sound absolutely crazy, but to those people who has really nothing to lose, lottery ticket seems to be only way out. This is just one of many examples that the author has given. It really makes you appreciate the wisdom of not judging people and or their decision, because we are all standing in a very different point in our life, so our decisions will be different. Now let's talk about the second case, and that is the role that risk and luck have to play in our professional lives. The writer cited a very potent example, and that is how Microsoft started. We all know Bill Gates, some of us know Paul Allen, but most of us don't know the third individual who were the best friend to Bill Gates and who was also a genius when it comes to computer science. He could have been the third co-founder of Microsoft. Unfortunately, this guy was killed during a mountaineering expedition. Now, this is a very good example of how our luck plays in our stories, right? He was unlucky. He took that risk, he was unlucky, and therefore he was no longer in the picture. The writer also cited other examples of the role that luck and risk play in professional life. And because of the phenomenon called survivorship fallacy, we tend to notice success more than we notice the role of risk and luck having to play in that success. And because of this fallacy, we have a distorted view of our own failure. And this second case is really a panacea that we all should take and view our failures more generously. Now, the third case is never enough. This is definitely one of my favorite chapters in this entire book. Partly because of the example that was given. And the example was given, it was both the writer Kurt Vonnegut, who was the writer of Slaughterhouse-5, and Joseph Haller, who was the writer of Catch-22. They both were attending a party through by a billionaire hedge fund manager. And during that party, Kurt Vonnegut informed his pal Joseph Haller that their host, a hedge fund manager, had made more money in a single day than Haller had earned from his wildly popular novel Catch-22 over its entire history. Haller responds, and this is a beautiful response. He says, "Yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough." And this is just a beautiful quote. And I think a truly happy individual is someone who finds his enough, because you can never be too rich, right? If you are greedy, you can never be too rich, you can never be too wealthy. There's no limit. And you find yourself spending your entire life chasing this limitless thing. And because it's limitless, you will never have enough. This chapter really, again, the title of the book is called Psychology of Money, right? It's also a psychology of individual. Whoever finds enough is someone who is happy. And this is almost like Buddhism. The fourth one is also very, very interesting, and that is compounding, right? The writer cited Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors over our time, perhaps the most successful investor. He cited him saying that the vast majority, 90% of his vast $84 million assets were actually acquired over the last 5 to 10 years. Can you believe that? And that is compounding, right? Mathematically, compound goes slow, but then exponential growth, and that's exactly what happened here. So the lesson from this chapter is that when you invest, at least this is not investment advice, this is really his personal experience and the observation that he had, the writer had, from the financial world, and that is long-term investment over a different diversification can really generate huge amount of money. Most people don't get this is because they don't allow his index or his investment to mature to actually enter the stage of compounding. Warren Buffett is a beautiful example of just how long-term, i.e. allow mathematical compound to come into place. Number 5 is getting wealthy versus getting rich. This is very interesting because the writer himself has two different definitions for being wealthy and being rich. Being rich is someone who earns a high salary and spend nearly all of it or more and get involved in debt. He's rich because his salary, his annual remuneration is huge, but he spends it all. Wealthy is someone who doesn't necessarily have to earn a huge amount of salary. Giving the example of Mr. Red, who was a janitor as well as a gas attendant and yet has $8.4 million when he passed away. So this is being wealthy rather than being rich. He also cited the example that most wealthy people are not what we think wealthy people are like, not the stereotypical millionaires from Hollywood doing that. Quite the opposite. They are really frugal in their spending. They drive second-hand cars and they wear non-label clothes. And this chapter really reminds me very much of the book that I read previously called The Millionaire Next Door. And that really tells about what and how first-time millionaires in the US look like and behave. Very, very similar, very, very educational. If you think that millionaires behave the way that you think, then this is definitely the book for you. Now, the last one is about tail event. Now, personally, I find this the most educational of all the chapters, at least for me. Tail events is a statistical concept, which simply means events that can be good as well as bad in a curve, right? And these events are incredibly powerful and impactful, but happens very infrequently. And he used this concept into a sort of investment portfolio. There is an art investor whose name eludes me at the moment, but the writer cited his example, and that is he always managed to have in his collection hugely successful paintings by hugely successful painters. For example, Picasso and all the others, right? I'm not an artist, so I don't. All I know at the moment is Picasso. But you know what I mean, right? Some of the other investors could not understand how this guy can always manage to have, artworks from all these famous artist. How come he makes all the right decisions? How come he didn't buy art from unsuccessful artists? And the reason is not like that. The reason is because he buys huge amount of arts from famous artists as well as someone who really didn't work. Because he bought this huge amount, he only needs one or two to actually work to make all his money back, right? Imagine he buys 1,000 piece of art. Only one or two needs to work. The rest doesn't have to. And that's his strategy. He just buys loads and loads and loads. And that just happened to have artworks from Picasso, right? One Picasso, all his other expenditures are taken care of, as well as making loads of money on top. And the writer says many investment funds across the world use a very similar strategy, and that is just invest in massive amount of companies. Only one or two or three needs to work to make the whole thing work. And that is the impact of tail, right? That is exactly the very definition of tail. An Amazon, an Apple, a Tesla. All of these are tail events. Picasso, that's all you need. And that is pretty much everything that I have learned from this book. There are obviously a lot more chapters dealing with different aspects of psychology of money. Personally, I don't find those quite as interesting as the ones that I just cited, because I find some of the chapters, especially towards the end of the book, are really dealing with common sense. But then going back to the first chapter, no one is crazy. Our perspectives are entirely different. Something that I find not particularly helpful, you might find quite the opposite. And that is the beauty of this book. Even in the first chapter, it really sets up the expectations. There's also a postscript in this book, which I find interesting because it's really a historical narration of the Depression all the way to the current environment in the US, investment environment. In the 1950s is the golden era, and precisely because this golden era, it sets some, at the time, realistic expectations. However, this expectation was carried all the way over to 2008 when the environment is no longer the same. And then from 2008 to now, we see these massive inequalities across the world economy, but especially obvious in the US. And the last postscript really documents why that is. Very, very interesting. So definitely recommend that you give the postscript a read. Now, should you buy it? Should you borrow it? Should you skip it? My verdict is that you should definitely go ahead and buy it. This is a book that you can really reread and reread again to absorb all the wisdom from it. That's it, guys, for this video. I hope you have a very beautiful 2026. Happy New Year. I know this is rather belated. Anyway, if you like the video, give it a thumb up and share and like, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio.